2014, in Guangxi Zhuang region of China, there is a cave called Judean Cave. It is an underground cave system which is one of the deepest and most dangerous underwater caves in the world. This is Judean Cave. The specialty of this cave is that it has two entrances, north and south. This area is quite deserted where not many people live. But the lovers of underwater cave systems come here from every corner of the world. This cave has a world record of 160 meters, a depth of 500 feet, which attracts every cave diver towards it. Wang Yuan and Wang Tao were inspired by this record, two experienced cave divers. Yuan had more than 400 cave dives experience, while Tao had also explored dangerous caves more than 200 times, but this time, he was going to face such a challenge which would change his life forever. His mission was clear to cross a depth of 160 meters and make a new world record. But the easier this journey seemed, the more dangerous it was. And with this thought, they set out for diving. It was a day, 18th April 2014. Wang Yuan and Wang Tao set out for Judean Cave. There was another man with them who helped them to bring oxygen cylinders one day earlier. At that time, no one even thought that this man would play an important role. Oxygen cylinder is very important in cave diving. This time they brought 20 cylinders with them. It is important to understand that many types of gas are used in diving. Normally nitrous gas is used, which is a mixture of oxygen and nitrogen. But when you have to go more than 100 feet down, you have to use helium instead of nitrogen. It is called helix. When you go deeper than this, the time it takes to decompress is also reduced. They start diving from the north entrance of Judean Cave. The dark and cold water of the cave gradually creates a strange fear. Their first stop was at the depth of 393 feet. At the depth of 393 feet, both stopped for a while. Yuan and Tao signaled to each other that everything is fine. Only the light of their torch and the sound of their breath echoed in the water. At this stop, both change their cylinders and get ready to move on. But they had no idea what dangerous turns would come in front of them. The darkness of the cave increases with increasing pressure and decreasing oxygen with every passing second. The more exciting this journey was, the more dangerous it was. During diving, the work of Wang Yuan and Wang Tao was completely divided. Yuan's main task was to keep the main line so that those people can make a safe path inside the cave. Tao's task was to fix the arrows as a guide. Now you must be wondering why these arrows are necessary. Actually, in an underwater cave, the sense of direction is completely lost. There is darkness, cold water, and a one-way path all around. In such a situation, arrows are the only thing that shows the way to the divers. While diving, Yuan and Tao had reached the depth of 512 feet or 156 meters. But then a big problem came. Their main line was over. Now understand carefully that their target was the depth of 170 meters, i.e. reaching up to 556 feet. But the record they had to break was 160 meters. This meant that they had to go only 10 meters further to break the record. But the difficulty was that they lacked rope. They needed at least 14 meters more rope. So Yuan and Tao took a very dangerous decision. They tied the main line to something and left the guide rope there. Yuan and Tao were slowly going down, but they did not realize that the line they had left was slowly disappearing from their eyes. By this time, they had reached 525 feet, i.e. the record level. But their persistence and passion was pulling them down. They slowly went down and finally reached 538 feet, i.e. 164 meters. That's when Yuan felt something strange. He felt a strange fear. He started getting scared. Suddenly, he realized that something was wrong. He understood that the danger for him was slowly increasing. In this dangerous mode of diving, Yuan and Tao were stuck in a big problem. According to them, the gas mixture in the cylinder was absolutely correct, but something was wrong. They did not have time to think about it because they had to go up at any cost. They were at a depth of 166 meters. This meant that they had broken the world record, but their real challenge was about to begin. After reaching such a depth, it was almost impossible, but Yuan and Tao assumed that they had reached the place from where the guide rope could be seen. But they did not find the guide rope. Now the ground slipped under their feet. The biggest problem was that the main line was pulled up for some reason. If they did not find the main line, they would have been lost forever in this cave. In the winter season, the water in the cave is so clear that you can see up to 15 meters. But look at their bad luck. It was raining continuously. The water was filled with dirt and silt. Because of this, their visibility was limited to only 2 meters, i.e. 6 feet. Now, in the water, in the dark, they were trying to find the main line. Do you remember what I told you about the gas mixture? There was a helium gas in their cylinder, which is used to prevent decompression problems. But this gas has a side effect. This gas has less oxygen and more helium. If the level of helium is too high, the risk of high-pressure nervous syndrome increases. This was also happening with Yuan and Tao. Due to staying in the depth for a long time, this side effect had started affecting them. Their ability to think and understand was slowly decreasing. Now the question is, if the sense of direction did not work in the cave, then how were they going up? The answer to this is from their timing computer. They were able to know how deep they are now. But the sense of direction was still not working. That's why they started climbing the walls of the cave slowly and slowly. And finally, their luck supported them for the first time. Somehow, they got a guide rope. Both breathed a sigh of relief. But this was just a coincidence. Every time, luck was not going to support them. The real challenge was yet to come. Going down in the water is more difficult than going up. Going up in the water is very deep. And when you go from high pressure to low pressure, the danger increases. At this time, Yuan and Tao realized that the journey ahead of them was not going to be less than a nightmare. Decompression sickness is the biggest danger for any diver. It depends on how deep you are and how long you have stayed there. A thumb rule says that as you go down from 200 feet, your decompression time increases rapidly. For example, if you are at a depth of 360 feet, then spending a minute there means that you will have to spend 10 minutes for decompression. But the condition of Yuan and Tao was even worse. They had wasted a lot of time in finding the guide rope. And because of this, the risk of decompression had increased many times. The condition got worse when their breathing rate increased due to anxiety. Due to breathing rapidly, the oxygen in their oxygen cylinder started running out very quickly. Now they had to reach a depth of 243 feet as soon as possible. There was an oxygen cylinder which they had already set, but in such a dangerous condition, Tao stopped. He made a signal with the help Yuan saw him and immediately approached him. Tao told him with a hand sign that his oxygen was about to run out. Actually, both of their oxygen had almost run out, but Tao's condition was much worse. His cylinder was not allowing him to breathe properly. Yuan immediately removed the oxygen from the cylinder and shared it with Tao. But despite this help, Tao started to faint. His eyes started closing and he disappeared in the dark. Yuan's condition was getting worse. His hands started to tremble, his breath started to become heavy. He felt that in a few minutes, he might also be in the same condition as Tao, but he did not give up. Now he had to go alone for 243 feet. He somehow went deep and picked up the cylinder, but he did not go straight up. He went down again to find Tao. Yuan felt that he might be able to save his friend. In the dark, where the visibility was almost zero, Yuan tried his best. He searched for Tao everywhere, but Tao was nowhere to be found. His heart started to sink. A strange helplessness overpowered him. Now Yuan had to go up. His life was at stake. He somehow went up and reached 187 feet. There was another oxygen cylinder. Yuan felt that a last attempt was necessary. He did not care about his life even once. His thoughts were only to find his friend Tao. But this time, he did not achieve anything. Yuan's body was exhausted. All his hope was gone. His eyes were closing slowly. He had become so weak that his body had given up. But suddenly, as soon as someone woke him up, Yuan came to his senses. He had only one thought in his mind. No, my end cannot be here. If he has to stay alive, he has to go up at any cost. But oxygen was not the only problem. Due to excess amount of helium in the water, he started experiencing high-pressure nervous syndrome, shivering, losing control of his hands, severe headache, vomiting. He was experiencing all these symptoms. Still, he did not give up. Yuan slowly climbed up. After reaching 35 meters, he took his first decompression stop. He had to stay here for 4 minutes so that the nitrogen could slowly come out of the body. If the diver did not do this, a lot of nitrogen would remain inside the body, which increases the risk of decompression sickness. This risk was already decided for Yuan, but he still had a hope to survive. He slowly completed the rest of the decompression stops. 30 meters, 27 meters, 24 meters, and then 21 meters. But at 21 meters, his body started giving up. Yuan vomited heavily. His condition worsened. Now his survival mode was on. Every breath, every second was precious. Finally, Yuan reached the top. As soon as he reached there, he came in contact with Mr. Pei. Mr. Pei immediately understood the situation and called an ambulance. But Mr. Pei did not know that Tao had been lost forever. Yuan was immediately taken to the hospital. His condition was so serious that he was kept in a decompression chamber. The next day, other divers found Tao's body at a depth of 160 feet. The death of Tao was the proof that even a small mistake in the game of depth can be fatal. Similarly, 10 college friends go to this cave, and after entering the cave is filled with water. Click above to watch this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.